I'm going to share with you some of the layouts I've created at a couple of scrapbooking camps and scrap weekends over the last 2 weeks. So the weekend before my birthday, I got to go away on a scrap camp, and the weekend after my birthday, I got to also go and scrapbook with some friends. And I'll explain a bit more about that when I get to it. So the first camp was a close to my heart one, organised by Carol, who is my upline, or my sort of team leader, I guess, with Close to My Heart. And there were, I believe, 43 of us at this camp. So it was lots of fun. I got to hang out with friends as well as fellow scrapbookers, people that I have come to know locally as well as further afield. So one of the key features, or the key techniques we're looking at this camp, excuse my camera, it keeps not wanting to stay put today. I will just use my other arm to hold it. So we were looking at using distress oxides. So I'll show a few of those as we come through. So this layout here was one that I scrap lifted off my friend Melissa. So basically I liked the design where she'd pulled the paper in off the side, and I decided to play with that. The stars that are there, I have coloured these with the Chip Sapphire Distress Oxide, and I've just used some of the black shimmer brush to splatter in the background there, and pulled in a few of the papers. And as part of the CDT Use Your Stash, I've used lots of older sequins and embellishments and things there. This page was created as part of, I think it was the 20-minute challenge that a few of us decided to do. So basically we had 20 minutes to create a layout. We did a 20-minute and a 30-minute one, and I'm not sure which is which, but I remember doing the hearts for one of them. And so yeah, so a bit more of the black shimmer brush splatter in there. Pulled out some of the new acrylic dots that are coming out, and the hearts and things were all hand cut. So that was quite a bit of fun. Now this one was part of a telephone hop, was the idea, was the name sort of behind it. Do you ever remember playing that game when you were younger, where you pass on a message to someone and then it's their job to pass it to the next person, and at the end you listen in and see how correct that message actually was? So this was the same. So one of the people started with a layout, she then secretly passed it to the next person, and then they took inspiration from her layout and created another one. So I was somewhere in the middle, and then I passed this layout on to someone else. Again, this one we had an hour to do before it had to be to the next person, and I used some Distress Oxides again to colour my stars. These were cut using Close to My Heart artistry on the Cricut, and pulled in some of the new mix-in papers that are the March-April collection. And I was scrapbooking last weekend with some friends, and I decided that I actually need another set because I'm almost through 2 packs of this mix-in, and I normally get 2, but we haven't even hit March yet and I'm already through it. This collection is my new favourite collection. It's a March collection, and the name of it just escapes me, but it is absolutely beautiful. It's got a very spring kind of theme with all the blossoms and things, and there's a beautiful stamp set that goes with it. Again, lettering was cut on the Cricut Joy, and my signature, or my common layering of the patterned papers in behind here. This again was another kind of scrap lift. I love the design that my friend Sam had done, and I took that concept and pulled it into a page of my own. This one here was another, I think it was one of the 20 or 30-minute challenge. This might have been the 20-minute one. So it was kind of a fast layout, a quick fast page, filling in a few different things, including some of our acrylic shapes. And again, I'm not sure if that paper's, yeah, that's one of the new mix-ins as well, that sort of diagonal stripe. This is probably one of my favourite layouts from the scrap camp weekend, and it pulled in so many of the different collections, different layers. Got some mix-ins there, got some Blossom, got some of the other papers that have come out recently, pulling in some different things, and it's all about coffee. So I'm not sure if that's why it's my favorite. But I think I really like the design and the page, the way it just came together. This page was created as a bit of a challenge. We all had a 3 or 4 inch strip of this particular pattern paper, and we had to use it in some way, shape or form. And this is what I pulled out from that. Again, another of the mix-ins that I love so much from March, April came into there as well. And that's a picture of some of the scrapbookers that were around me. So the layout before, there's Blossom. This one here, that was scrap lifted off Sam. And the wood diagonal one with my son, this one here, was scrap lifted from Melissa, who's sitting down here beside me with the particular piece of paper that we're now creating. I'm not in love with this page, but the story's told and it's here and it's documented. Love the acrylic yellow stars. I coloured this wooden one yellow to kind of match, so I've got that group of 3 in there. These were just squares of scraps that I pulled into the background and popped them onto, I think it's one of the January, February mix-ins there, with a bit of inking and sort of distressing or colouring in behind there, and another Cricut cut. So this one was probably one of the first ones I put together at the scrapbook camp. So the lettering was cut on the Cricut Joy. I have again used the Distress Oxide to colour the flowers, and pulled in one of the new collections with that. Quite love this wee sort of torn open bit with some embellishments stuck inside it there. I think it's something in this together, might be the name of this collection. Beautiful colours. It is meant to be about the whole COVID thing. You can see a mask peeking in behind there, but on the opposite side of each paper, it's more generic, so it can be for anything. The red in the background here, that is one of the mix-ins again. The March, April mix-ins that I love. I used the Distress Oxide to colour the letters there and just pulled in some layers. A lot of it is Sweet Safari that's on that layout. And I was one of the lucky winners of the kits from the last album retreat. So I had 5 kits that I was able to put together, and with 5 customers, and I had 5 of them at the camp, and they all got given the kit, and I had my bits and pieces out, so they were able to make this page as well. Lots of cool techniques were in that, worth doing the album retreats. And now the last couple. So this was another one where I did lots of stamping, inking, painting in the bits to add my embellishments around it. This was cut again on the Cricut Joy, and some of the together mixed with a bit of Blossom, and my new favourite mix-in collection tucked in there in the orange in the background. Now I was given this sort of as a last minute layout challenge, so part of learning to use the packaging technique and smooshing and things like that, and a bit of texture paste. There was a table where people were just playing with ideas, and at the end Carol handed me this sort of roughed up piece of paper and told me to make it into something, and this is what I came out with. I just sort of took inspiration from these colours and pulled them into a picture of my son welding some garden boxes for us, and yeah, just sort of tried to bring in some of these different elements, hand cut the lettering and stuck that on there, so was quite happy with how that all turned out. Last weekend, the weekend we've just had, sorry about my arm, I'm holding the tripod up there as I work through this, there was a VIP workshop, and so that actually happened for me. That was last Friday here in New Zealand, but I was at work, and so what my 2 VIPs at the time decided to do is we got together at my parents' beach house, and we put together, we were able to watch the replays up on the TV in the living room while in the dining room actually, while we sat down and put together the layouts. Now, these layouts were gorgeous. They were 2 pages. I am not typically a 2-page scrapbook, and I know lots of people are, and I think that's fabulous the way people do that. I did decide I wanted this page as it's kind of stood, in the sense that I can see some really cool sort of life documented stuff going on here. I did twist the banners so that instead of going all the way across both pages, this one sort of went up here and this one was clustered in the middle. So I'm looking forward to getting the photos together to put that page together. So that was one of the first one from the album retreat. The second one I did was this. Now this was meant to be another 2-page spread on sort of one of the light brownie coloured papers. I ended up pulling in one of our wood papers, and instead of having just sort of some diamonds at the top and one down the bottom, I decided just to make it a page full of the triangles like this, and I distressed the edges just by pulling over all the pieces, and I added in some of the acrylic dots there. Yeah, quite cool, quite happy with the way that came out. And the other one, this was also meant to be a double layout. It was meant to, I think, have this bit down one side and this part down the other, but I turned it around and made it a single page because that's just the way I scrapbook, and I love double page that people are able to do, but that's not me. And so the 2 ladies that were doing this workshop or running through this with me are also the same, so it was good to be able to convert these for them to see. And Julie also created some beautiful pages with that kit as she sort of sat down after the first day or so. In this workshop, we also made a series of cards. Absolutely love these. I'm looking forward to being able to share them and send them to some people. My parents came over at the end on Sunday afternoon, and we put together a bundle of cards just as a thank you for Mum. She likes having cards to send to people at different times, so I was able to pull out some of these, and Kim was also able to pull out some of the cards that she'd been working on over the weekend. The last 2 pages, again just holding that tripod, or 3 actually, that I want to share are these 3 here. Now this first one, quite a simple page. Again, it brings in the Daisy Meadows. It's got a bit of wood grain tucked in there, and this is again one of the March April mix-ins, but I pulled in some, I think it was the Marmalade Distress Oxide along the top, just to try and bring that colour around the edge, so you're kind of drawn into the centre, sort of like vignette around a photograph. And I've just added in some of these liquid pearls there, as well as some of the acrylic dots. This one here is one of the PML cards cut down. Now this one here took a while to come together. I'm not sure I love the cut file, but it works in the end. Love this technique that came up in the VIP workshop, where we back the wooden hearts with different coloured cardstock, and so I've pulled that onto here. And this one I just dyed the cardstock the same peacock colour, layers of paper, tucked them down, PML card cut in half because it was one of the bigger ones, and lettering cut on the Cricut Joy. And again I did the Distress Oxide around the edge. Now before I went to the camp, I watched a video that was put together in our Star Crafters Close to My Heart team about using these diamonds and lots again of the distress inks, adding the colours, and absolutely loved it. Again, it was a double page, and I have turned it into my form of a single page, but still using a lot of the packaging techniques, the ink blending. You can sort of see on that one there how the darker edges, and then this one a bit of marmalade, and some of the yellow, which I just can't remember the name off the top of my head. So they were some of the layouts that I worked on, and I hope that maybe you've got some ideas for your own pages from that. Thank you.